Do what you gotta do, my wild, sweet love. One of my favorite Nina Simone songs. And really a great little title to remember. Do what you gotta do. But do it conscious, heart-centered, divinely guided. I am Reverend Amani Malaika, and I want to talk about conscious action, divine right action, what it means in our mission statement at the Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living to be love in action. That's what I want to talk about this month. That is the series we are in, Conscious Action. And I do believe, I think a lot of us are thinking about, how do I know what to do right now? Particularly here in the US, right? What do I do? But really globally, like everywhere. What is mine to do? How do I make a decision? And I want to begin with, this is a spiritual question. This isn't just a question. This isn't a question to contemplate without deeply rooting ourselves in the ground of our own truth, in the ground of our own hearts, which I wholeheartedly believe is the ground of love, the ground of the divine. This is the work of spiritual living in all times, right? But particularly in this time when many of us are looking for the right action, for the right choice, the right next step. What am I supposed to do? Where should I live? Should I stay? Should I go? How do I help? And I want to sit with that question in a way that actually has meaning beyond the fear, outside of the urgency you might be feeling. Because this question is not a new question. This is not a new set of circumstances facing humanity. Howard Thurman, one of the great spiritual teachers of all times, who was a mystic and minister and advisor to Martin Luther King Jr. back during the Civil Rights Movement, said, the ability to know what is the right thing to do in a given circumstance is a sheer gift from God. Wow. And I think when you and I can take a moment and recognize that the right thing is not dependent on policy, legality, politics, the right thing to do is a gift of the divine. The knowing what that is in any given circumstance, as Howard Thurman points out, is a gift of divinity, is a wisdom that is gifted to you and I because we are here by divine appointment. And so I want to share another quote from you, for you, that comes from the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. One of the Gospels we've discovered that didn't get included in the, canon known as the Bible today. But in the Gospel, Mary speaks of advice she was given by Jesus of Nazareth. And it says, become content at heart, while also remaining discontent and disobedient. Become content at heart, while also remaining discontent and disobedient. This is part of the work of spiritual living, of spiritual maturity, is being able to hold the contentment in my own heart, in your own heart, while also holding the discontentment of circumstance and being disobedient to the circumstances, legalities, policies, laws that are out of alignment with what you know to be true, what you know to be in alignment with your spiritual values, with your inner locus of control. You know, I was thinking about this a lot as I was preparing for this video. And inner locus of control is a psychological term that means that your decision making and your behavior is based on a centered consciousness within you. Consciousness is probably not the word used in psychology, but there's an inner knowing, an inner compass that guides your behavior, that guides your decision making. It is an inner point, an inner center that controls decisions, choices, behavior. And as a mother, I was aware of this concept, and it was like one of the most important things to me as a parent that I wanted to help cultivate for my kid. Because as a mother, even before my child is transgender, even before my child came out and transitioned as trans, which he did very young. But even before then, when he decided he wanted to go to public school, which was really not what I wanted him to do, but he was an only child. He really wanted to be with the other kids. And I was a single mom. I didn't have private school money. And I didn't really want him to go to school because I knew this would be an institution that would demand him to go against his own nature. Because that is the nature of institutions in this country. Is it asks us to step outside of what we know, what we can feel to be good and right and true, for the sake of rules, for the sake of whatever. And you know, we can agree or disagree about this, but for the sake of programming young minds to become workers and to be cogs in the wheel, which is my opinion. So I was not excited for my kiddo to join the ranks of public school or school in general. I was really hoping we would homeschool, and he was not into it. So it became even more important to me at that age that he really develop an inner locus of control, a real sense of his own dignity and his own knowing. This is what I believe Mary's gospel is talking about. Be content at heart while being discontent and disobedient. Because it is in that heart contentment space that you can go against what needs to be gone against, to be disobedient to what you should be disobedient to because your heart knows better. And this is something I wanted my kid to have. I knew he would need inside these institutions, inside a culture and society that would rather him not be who he is and not be in charge of his own body and his own mind. And it was a huge ask for a little one to go against the adults in the room. I'm not talking just about peer pressure to know yourself and to know what's true and good and right for you inside of peer pressure. I'm talking about adult pressure. I knew he was going to have to go against the adults in the room at times. And we all have to be able to cultivate that whether you want to look at it from a secular point of view as the inner locus of control, or you want to look at it Mary Magdalene's point of view that she was advised by Jesus of Nazareth to be content at heart, but also discontent and disobedient. Or as Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind, my favorite thing he said or wrote was, love points the way. The law of the universe makes the way happen. The metaphysics make the way happen. But love points the way. Love points you and I in the right direction. Or, as Howard Thurman, great mystic and spiritual teacher and advisor of the civil rights movement, said, knowing what the right thing to do in any given circumstance is a gift from God. All of which says, for you and I, in any moment, but particularly maybe in this moment as you are looking for answers, or looking for what is the right thing to do. Cultivating your relationship with love's wisdom, with your own heart, with the spark of divine, with love's pointing within you, that inner locus of control that is the decision maker, not the circumstances, but the thing within you that I believe has been created as you because you are an emanation of the Holy Blessed One. That your heart's wisdom, your divine wisdom within, that inner whisper, love's pointing, always knows what the right thing to do is. This is how we begin to make conscious action. This is how you and I know what is the right thing to do, is to prioritize the heart space, to prioritize the inner voice, that inner whisper, that inner sense. Because you know how you know? In your own unique way. You know that you know that you know that you know. You may hear a message from the divine. You may feel drawn or nudged towards the thing. You may see a certain billboard or a magazine cover. You may see the symbol of a thing over and over again that is telling you, aha. You may be invited again and again and you feel a gut reaction that says, yes. This is that sheer gift from God that Howard Thurman is talking about. This is the heart contentment and the discontentment and disobedience that Mary Magdalene was speaking of. This is love's pointing. And this is the compass you and I need to move through the storm of this time, to be the place where love shows up, to be the co-creators, to bring our vision for what's possible in our own lives and life itself, or the collective, into form. It starts with being centered and grounded in the heart of your own being and listening to that heart. Right? My kiddo, I will never forget the amount of conversations we had about, well, my teacher said that I had to blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. What does your heart say? I don't care what your teacher said. What do you say? And the courage and the struggle it was for him to stand in his own wisdom and to go with what he knew to be good and right. And the number of times I had to step in as the grown-up because of my own wisdom and be a stand for what is good and be disobedient to what the adults in his life were saying in his school, in his situations, on his teams, right? To be a stand for what was good and right and true because I was absolutely willing to let him rest on my courage to learn how to do that. And we get to do that for one another right now. To be so sure of the truth within, the prompting of spirit, and have the courage to act on that. And when you do that, just like the crowds and crowds, the huge numbers of people who recently showed up to the APS school boards here in the Albuquerque area to be a stand for what their heart said was good and true and right against this idea of banning books and getting rid of knowledge and wisdom that is in support of all people. The LGBTQIA community, particularly being targeted by the book ban. But the thing that said in the hearts of all of those people who showed up that said, I am having to be disobedient to this thing, discontent to this thing, to this banning of books, because my heart says so. Because there is a thing in me that knows good and right and true. And it takes courage. It takes courage sometimes, because sometimes you are not the loudest voice in the room. Sometimes there are many, many, many people who will stand in opposition and disagreement with what your heart says is good and right and true. And still, the sheer gift of the divine is right action anyways, regardless of circumstance, in the face of any set of conditions. And so the work, the spiritual practice, begins with cultivating that wisdom, that relationship, that listening. Being in such intimate relationship with your own inner locus of control, with your own heart space, and knowing how to cultivate contentment there. And in that place of contentment, all the discontentment and places you are called to be disobedient reveal themselves. It becomes obvious. And then the courage to act on that, which then becomes the acts of service and acts of generosity that are the result, the obvious choices, the obvious actions we take when we're in this place of heart-centered decision-making. When we are in this place where we are willing to be pointed by love's lead in the right action. This is conscious action. This is divine right action. This is love in action. And this is the invitation of our time. And so I invite you into a practice to spend time daily in some quiet. Maybe take a few deep breaths and just ground yourself. Listen to some music that helps center you and ground you. Smile your way in some few deep breaths into that space of love within you. And ask, what is my divine right action today? And then sit and listen and feel for the response. Look for the pointing of love as you move throughout your day. Cultivate that listening. Cultivate that space in you that knows that it knows that it knows. You have it. Guaranteed. You have breath in your body. You have the spark of the divine within you. Period. May you join me and other beloveds in divine right action, in conscious action. Amen. And so it is. I love you so much.